I wanted to do a little rapid fire here just to get your take on a few of the fights coming up here at UFC 300. There's a few big ones, obviously, that are in the, there's some mixed division stuff, but we have a big one, Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. Pretty much a title eliminator. How do you see that fight playing out? What do you think about that matchup?
I'm gonna go with Charles Oliveira on this one. He has
Yeah.
a lot more championship experience. I do think he should be on his way back to a title run. Honestly, I'd rather just see him fight for the belt again than
Yeah.
have to do this, but makes sense.
I'm guessing you want to see that Islam rematch, I'm guessing, because that'd be
Yeah,
sort
that was
of,
booked. That was
yeah.
booked for Abu Dhabi,
Yeah.
and Charles got cut, and now Charles has to fight again to get back to that fight. I wish they would have just rebooked it.
Yeah. What about Gaethje Holloway? Obviously, Holloway's moving up. He has fought at 155 before. Gaethje's obviously a long-standing 155er. What do you think about that for the BMF?
Uh, I don't like Max at 155. He doesn't hurt. He doesn't really hurt people at 145. So 155 is a whole different animal. I felt like he
Yeah.
was definitely overpowered when he fought Poirier um, at 155, and Gaethje knocked Poirier out last time they fought. Doesn't This move doesn't make sense for me for Max. Max should be back on a uh, Max should be fighting the new title, the new
Yeah.
belt holder. You know what I mean? There's a new guy at 145 finally. Max is still on the top of the heap. So I would rather see him do that. So I definitely think Gaethje will win.
Yeah, and it feels like that spot kind of opened up with Volk might be out for a while. That opportunity might have opened up with Volk finally losing too, just because that was sort of holding him back. Um,
Let me ask you this. So
yeah.
let's say here's another thing that I don't like for Charles Oliveira. Let's say Charles wins on UFC 300. Let's say Gaethje wins on UFC 300. Who gets the fight? Who's out of those two? Who's next for the belt? Well, what's going to happen is Poirier is going to fight in June, and they're going to make these two knuckleheads fight each other again.
Right. I was
When
gonna
Charles
actually,
was right fucking there.
right. I know.
You
And I
know?
was gonna actually ask you because that was literally my next question was about Islam seems like he wants the Poirier fight. What do you think about just Dustin potentially, I don't know, quote unquote, leapfrogging them? I know he's obviously a deserving fighter, but he would be kind of leapfrogging them in terms of who was probably up next for the title. What would you think
Yeah.
about that?
I think that's probably my prediction for what's going to happen. And then Gaethje and Charles Oliveira are going to end up having to fight each other probably to. So
Right,
that's a tricky spot for Charles. I'm a little biased because I'm a Charles Oliveira fan, so I
right,
want to
right.
see him fight Islam again. Um, I want to see Jiu-Jitsu beat
Yeah,
Sambo, right? So, um, you know, that's kind of how I see that playing out. But who knows? Anything can happen because Gaethje could lose and Charles Oliveira could lose, and now we're looking at a completely different. Now we're talking about Arman, so it is.
right.
We'll see how it plays out.
Well, Dustin, how do you think Dustin would fare in that fight against Islam?
Well, I don't think he'll do very well. I mean, he didn't do very well against Khabib, um, and it just seems like Dustin has a hard time getting past that title fight. But
Yeah.
um, he does also seem though in a elevated place mentally lately. Like he seems in such a mature place, and I think that maybe he's learned a lot from the Khabib experience and could pull from that experience and really bring his best. He's certainly capable of winning the fight, um,
Were you
not by
surprised
guillotine.
that I know that he jumped the gilly like four times or whatever it was. Were you
Can't do
surprised?
that on Islam. You're not gonna
Right.
get that on Islam, just like you're
Right.
not gonna get it on Khabib. So it's like um, he has to not do that against Islam and try to throw a lot of uppercuts in that range and try to
Right.
hurt Islam.
Were you surprised that he beat Benoit Saint Denis? A lot of people were pretty surprised. I mean, maybe they shouldn't have been, but he was a
Yeah,
betting.
no, I'm not ever surprised if he wins. I
Yeah.
think Poirier is a real OG of this
Yeah.
division, and he's a really dangerous guy with a ton of finishes who's only been fighting the absolute number one guy at that time
Yeah.
for years and years. So, anyone that counts that guy out, it's like you have to remember who he's losing to, you know.
That's true.
These
Um,
are all title. Dustin Poirier is only in title eliminator fights, basically, or title fights for
right.
4 years. So it's
This is we ran a little long here. I just wanted to get one more thing. What did you think of Conor McGregor's performance in Roadhouse? Did you? What did you?
I have not watched the movie. I
Oh,
started the
okay.
movie last night and fell asleep.
Okay.
So I gotta watch it still.
All right, gotcha. Well, fair enough. Well, Trey, thank you so much. What's next for you? What are you hoping for next in terms of like your next opponent and just the next steps for you?
Yeah, I've kind of called out the winner of Chase Hooper versus Lava Claus. Not
Yeah.
sure if that'll happen or not, but like mid to late summer, one of those two guys would be ideal for me.